Hi there. So in this tutorial, we are going to create the Facts app together, and we are going to learn all about the responsive design, the let's say scroll view, and the text view, and you're going to create a basic application, and you're going to learn a lot. Okay. So first, imagine that there is a person here, and this person wants to create an application that can scroll. So let's say that you have an application here, and this person is here. This is the programmer, and you ask him to create the application for you. And let's say that you have 1,000 facts. Okay, so these are your facts, and there are thousands of them. And if you don't know, or if this programmer here doesn't know how to add scrolling behavior to the application, then these facts won't show up on the app screen. Okay, and you will get disappointed in this programmer, and you will choose another developer to create the application for you. So knowing how to create the scrolling behavior in your application so that you can show a million texts or any other elements on your mobile screen by the use of the scrolling behavior, so that the user can scroll or touch the screen in order to see the other texts or facts, then this is the capability that will separate you from the other developers who don't know about this feature, scrolling behavior. So let's go ahead and implement this feature. Let's go ahead and open the Android Studio. So I'm gonna open Android Studio here. So make sure that your Android Studio is updated to the latest version. Google has recently released this new version with this new look and behavior. This is pretty cool, and but it has some bugs. Recently I have tested some of my applications on this Android Studio, and I have faced some of the bugs that the Google has should have already figured it out. So I'm not satisfied with this new version of the Android Studio, because it's pretty confusing. Sometimes the IDE doesn't know what I'm looking for, or it doesn't recognize the resources that I add to the IDE. And I didn't face these issues in the previous versions of Android Studio. Okay, my Android Studio is launched. So as you can see, it has already launched the previous version of my Android app. So I'm gonna go to File at the top, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on Close Project. Close Project. So now the Android Studio wizard is opened for us, and now we can go ahead and create a new Android Studio project. So just click on this Start a New Android Studio Project, Empty Activity, Next. So let's name the application the Facts app. So Facts app. So the package name and the save location is as before, and the language is Java. So for this application, the minimum SDK is Android Jelly Bean. So I'm going to click on Finish. So when the Android Studio is ready after creating the project from the Android Studio wizard, now it's gonna open two files for you, the main activity.java and the activity main.xml file. So you're gonna learn all about Java later in this course. For now, let me just close these files. I don't want them to be opened, and I'm gonna open them from the project navigator. So here at this bottom area that you can see here, I can minimize it. Now I have this project navigator that I told you earlier with the shortcut of Alt-1 or Command-1. If you're using Mac, you can open it or close it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to app folder. Here you can see the manifest file, the Java file, which will contain all of your Java files, and the rest folder. So let's go inside the rest folder and go ahead and open the layout folder. This is the activity underline main.xml. So I'm gonna double click on this tab in order to make this area wider. And now you can see that this is the area where we design our application, where we put the elements, the UI elements here. And also we will manipulate the attributes of these elements. And here at the center, you can see the layout. If you want to zoom in, here the Android Studio will give you the option to zoom in here, for example, or zoom out. This bottom right area here. So now I'm gonna select this hello world that you can see at the center, and then I can just change its place. But I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna change the whole layout. So at the top right corner here, you can see these free items here. The first one is the design area. If I hover over it, the second one is the split, and the third one is the code. I'm gonna click on code so I can see the XML codes. XML is the language that we use in this course to design our UI elements. Okay, so here you can see that the top layout, the top tag, is a constraint layout. For this application, the Facts app, I'm not gonna use the constraint layout. I'm gonna use a very, very simple layout called the frame layout. So the frame layout is used for simple lists, for when you only have one element at a time and you want to show that element inside your layout. So I'm going to remove this constraint layout, this AndroidX constraint layout.widget.constraint layout, and instead I'm going to write frame layout. So with capital F, type in frame layout, and the Android Studio will show you this option to select it. I'm gonna press on the Enter key on my keyboard in order to select it. So now it's ready. Now here, our text view that you can see, this text view is inside this frame layout. Okay, this text view is now inside this frame layout. So now there are some attributes that are related to constraint layout, to the old constraint layout that were in this text view. Okay, the constraint layout is a way to create complex layouts in Android, complex UIs, and it will have some rules that you can apply on the children of that constraint layout. So in this case, you can see that the text view is the child of this frame layout, because the text view is inside this frame layout tag. This frame layout has the opening tag frame layout with these attributes, the XML namespace, the app, the tools, the layout width, the layout height, the context, and this ending tag. And inside this frame layout, we have this text view. So I'm going to remove these attributes that were related to the constraint layout. Just remove every attribute that contained the name constraint. So I'm going to remove these attributes. So let me talk about the layout width and the layout height first. Well, the layout width, so let me click on this split here at the top right. I'm going to click on split so you can also see the layout at the right. So the layout width will determine the width of your layout, okay? And when it says match parent, it's gonna take the whole width of the screen, because the frame layout is this top layout. There is no other top layout than the frame layout. So because it is the top layout, when it says match parent, this means that the parent is actually the device of the user. So match parent means take the whole width of the screen. And we also have another attribute called wrap content, which simply says that the height or the width of the layout will be determined by the contents inside of it. So that's why it's called wrap content. So you're going to learn more about this later. You're going to build tons of applications and you're going to master these features later. Don't worry if this sounds a little bit confusing for now. Okay, so the layout width and the layout height is match parent. The context is the main activity. Okay, you're gonna learn about context later, and there are some attributes such as the XML namespace here that you're gonna learn more about later. But for now, just note that these attributes are necessary to be here. Okay, so now we have this text view. The text view width is wrap content. Okay, so wrap content means that the width of the text view will be determined by the content inside of it. Okay, so the content is hello world. So this means that if I change the content to hello, Now you can see that the width of the text view is changed dynamically based on this text here. And also the layout height, the same wrap content. So you can choose match parent if you want. For example, for the width, I can say match parent. So now let's go ahead and give this text view an ID. An ID is a way to create a reference to our UI component from the Java. Okay, so for now, let's just create an ID. So for this text view here, I'm just gonna create a new attribute above the layout width. I'm gonna type in here ID. Okay, as I'm typing here ID, this attribute is highlighted for me. Android ID : ID. This is the attribute, and here it is, some documentation about it if you want to learn more. So for now, just click on it or select it. So this attribute is added here, Android : ID. So notice that it says Android. Where this Android comes from? This Android comes from this XML namespace Android that was defined inside the frame layout. Okay, so this means that if you remove this XML namespace Android, then the Android Studio won't be able to recognize this ID attribute. That's why I say these XML namespace attributes are necessary to be there. Okay, so let's go back to the text view. The text view says Android ID attribute. So let's give this text view an ID so it could be recognizable later in Java. So in order to create an ID, first you have to let the Android Studio here, let the Android Studio know that we are not going to create a text. By that, I mean you should put an @ sign. And when you enter @ sign, now Android Studio now knows that you want to create something else. Maybe you want to create an ID. That's why it is showing you the ID here, @ sign plus ID. So just select this one, @ sign plus ID /. Now you can enter the value of the ID. This is how this works in Android Studio. So I'm gonna enter the ID. The ID could be, let's say, txt, okay, underline, so txt underline fact. This is my ID for this text view. So let's open this Android Studio Project Navigator by holding the Alt plus the number 1 key on the keyboard. Go to the app folder, go to the Java folder. If you open the Java folder, you will see 3 folders here. The first one is this one, the com.mystartup.facts app. There are 2 more here, which is going to be the Android test and the test. For now, we don't want to do anything with these other folders, the Android test and the test. For now, we are interested in the first folder. I'm going to open it, and you will see the main activity there. Just double click on this file in order to open it. Now, I just double clicked or I just double tapped on this tab in order to make this area wider. So now here it is, the main activity class. At first, if you don't have any experience with programming, it might sound a little bit confusing or scary, but don't worry, you're going to master Java in this course. So let's see what we should do here. First, inside the class, you can see that this class, it says public class main activity extends app-compat activity, and it has an opening curly brace followed by a closing curly brace. And inside the curly braces, we have something else. We have the protected void onCreate, bundle saved, instance state, and some other stuff. So for now, just know that this onCreate that you can see here, it's just gonna start our application. So what do I mean by that? When you run your application on the emulator, okay, this onCreate method is responsible to show the user the first thing that the user should see. Okay, it's gonna show the user the layout. That's the only job and responsibility of this onCreate method. So now this is my onCreate method, and here it is, the class main activity. The main activity is related to this activity underline main.xml here. Okay, you're going to learn about this link later. So inside the class, let's create a variable. The variable is just like a box that we can use in order to store some data inside of it. In order to create a variable, first you have to specify the type of that variable. Because we are dealing with texts in this application, I am going to create a variable named as text view. Okay, text with a capital T and view with a capital V. So when I enter text view, Android Studio offers me to choose the Android.widget, the text view here. So I'm going to select this one and press on enter key on my keyboard. Okay, space. Now I'm going to give my variable a name. What should be the name of my variable? Well, it could be fact text view. So can you see how I'm writing the name of this variable? It's camel case. Camel case means that the first letter of your name should be in lowercase, and the first letter of the subsequent words should be in uppercase. So the fact, the F is in lowercase, and the text, the T is in uppercase, and the view is also in uppercase. There should be, or there must be, no space between the letters of your variables. This is not allowed in programming at all. Everything should be beside each other. So we have the text view. So this is the type, space. Now I need to specify the name, fact text view. So this is just a declaration of this variable. We haven't initialized it yet. In Java, if you declare something and you don't initialize it, your application is going to crash. Okay? Java doesn't show no mercy to people who do not initialize their items, their variables. So Java is pretty sensitive to the initialization. So that's why we are going to go inside the onCreate method. So as I told you earlier, this method is responsible to show the layout. This is the starting point of our application. This is where our application starts. Everything happens. The magic happens. This is where it happens, the onCreate method. So you go inside the curly braces of this onCreate method. First, we've got the super.onCreate. Then we've got the setContentView. This is the most important method because without this method, nothing will show on the layout, on the screen. After the setContentView and before the ending curly brace of this onCreate method, I'm going to say fact text view assignment operator. So this is not an equal operator because of the reasons that you're going to learn later. We are going to call it the assignment operator, and you're going to refer to the UI component that you created inside the activity underline main.xml earlier. What was the UI component that you created? The text view, and you gave it an ID, txt fact. So I'm going to go back to the main activity. I'm going to type in here find view by ID. Inside the parentheses of this find view by ID, I'm going to say R. So there is a class in Java or Android called R. The R contains all of the resources and all of the, let's say, names that you create, all of the IDs that you create inside your application. This is an auto-generated class. You should not do anything with this class. You should not manipulate this class or just change its values. It will get auto-generated every time you add something new, or every time you create a new ID or a new asset to your application. This R class will get auto-generated. So I'm going to refer to this R class dot, and now I'm going to say the ID, r.id dot. Now I can refer to txt underline fact, semicolon. Make sure that at the end of your statements in Java, you must put a semicolon. Take a look at these codes here. For example, this setContentView, it has a semicolon at the end. And this means period. This basically means period and nothing more. This is as simple as that. So we have successfully initialized our variable. What's next? Well, next is maybe you want to set some text to your variable. Maybe you want to say txt, or excuse me, I need to refer to the name of my variable. So the name of my variable is fact text view. I'm going to say fact text view. In programming, you should always talk to the computer. Programming is a way that you can speak to the computer. You can talk to the computer, and the computer will do what you say. It's as simple as that. So here I'm saying that computer, go ahead and use that fact text view that we created earlier and we initialized it, and go ahead and dot set a text here for this text view. And computer asks, okay, I will do that. What kind of text you want me to show? So for that, you put a pair of quotes, double quotes here inside the parentheses, and I'm gonna enter my own name. Okay, Morteza Kordi. Right, so I'm gonna go ahead and run this application. So at the top, you can see that we have these options to run the application, and if you want to, you can also select the device from this area. I'm gonna click on run here. So here it is, my name. This is being displayed on this emulator. So this means that our code is behaving as we want it to behave, okay? So now let's go ahead and do something else. Here in this application, we are going to show the facts that we are going to get from a website called Snapple Facts. Let's go ahead and open our web browser and get introduced to this amazing website. So here I opened the google.com and I searched for Snapple Facts. This is the first link. Just go to this URL, snapple.com. I'm gonna click on this first link here, and now it's gonna show us a lot of facts that we can use in our application. So let's go ahead and so if you are going to release your application to the Google Play Store, make sure to read the privacy policy or the terms and condition, and so that you are compliant with the copywriting rules and all of that stuff. So I'm waiting so that the website gets it gets loaded. So now let me zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so here are the facts. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy these facts one by one, and I'm gonna paste them in my application so I can use them. So let's go ahead and copy one of them. So for example, I'm gonna select this fact here, okay? And I think when I click on them, it will get copied to the clipboard, or maybe I should just highlight it and then right click on it and then click on copy. So let's go back to Android Studio. So in order to store our facts, we need to have a class so that we can store our data there. So just go into the Java folder, the first package, right click on this package and go to new, and then let's create a Java class. And let's name this Java class fact, okay? Just simply name it as fact. And then the kind is class, as you can see here. And the visibility and modifier is public, none. The package is this one, the same as the package that we have here. And just click on OK. So by convention in Java, you should use the first capital letter of your class name to be uppercase. Okay, it should be capitalized. So that's why the fact is written in a way that the F is in uppercase. So this is my class. But now, how can I store the facts here? In order to do that, I'm going to create a method, a public method. Public means that this method can be accessed from anywhere else in Java. So I'm going to enter public, and then I'm going to enter static. So static means that later this fact class can access this method directly. So you're going to learn more about static and the instance variables or methods later in this course. For now, make sure to put public and static here first, and then we are going to have an array or a list of the facts. So string and then a pair of brackets. So this means that we are going to have an array of strings or an array of texts. And then we need to give this method a name. I'm gonna give it the name get facts. Get facts. A pair of parentheses. And then open and close this method by using the curly braces. Okay, so this method has a return type which is string array. Array means a list of string. So we must return a list of strings from this method. If this doesn't make any sense at all, don't worry. You're gonna learn later about it. So first just type in here return, and then we are going to do what? We are going to create a new array. I'm gonna say new string, a pair of brackets. That's it. And then I'm gonna open and close this array by using the curly braces. So this is how you create arrays. First you enter the type. So this is the type which is going to be string or text, a pair of brackets which identifies or indicates that we are dealing with an array or a list, and then an opening curly brace followed by a closing curly brace. So the new keyword indicates that we are creating a new object. You'll learn more about objects later, or object-oriented programming later. So inside the curly braces that you created here, first you can enter your facts here, but here you can see that there is a red underline after this curly brace, this ending curly brace. This means that we must put a period or semicolon here, so the error goes. Okay, remember I told you after the end of each statement you must put a semicolon. Inside the curly braces, now I can enter the facts. So what was the first fact? The first fact I think I copied to the clipboard, but remember this is a string. In order to create a string in Java, you must put a pair of double quotes. So I put up a pair of double quotes, and I'm gonna paste my fact inside the double quotes. Animals that lay eggs don't have belly buttons. This is the first fact. So I'm gonna enter a bunch of facts, maybe 2,000 facts here. In order to separate them, I must put a comma after each fact, okay, after each pair of double quotes. So I'm gonna put a comma here. Now I can enter the second fact. So I'm gonna go back to the Snapple facts, and I'm gonna select another fact here. So I'm gonna select this one. So I have to highlight it and select it. So let me see whether I can select it from this area here. Okay, it doesn't respond as I expected. So let me select it here. Right click on it and copy. Let's go back to Android Studio, create double quotes here, and paste the fact here, comma. So again here, right click on it, copy. It says there is a museum of strawberries in Belgium. Well, I didn't know that. Okay, so let's go and take a look at another fact. Horses can't vomit. Okay, let's use this one, or let's use another one. A day on Venus lasts longer than a year on Venus. Okay, let's use this one. Copy it and paste it here. So I'm gonna pause the video, and then I'm gonna enter maybe more than 10 or 20 facts here, and you also do that. Go ahead and paste lots of facts here, and then when you're ready you can again play the video and continue the rest of the tutorial. Okay, so these are the facts that I selected and pasted here inside the curly braces of this string array. So now that's enough. I'm gonna go back to the main activity here. So if you want to, you can open the project navigator, go to Java first, package, and then go to main activity. So inside the main activity class, now that we have initialized the text view, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna first delete this line of code here that sets my name for this text view because I don't need it anymore. Now we need to do something else. We need to access the facts from the fact class we created earlier. How? Inside the onCreate method, inside the curly braces of the onCreate method, after I initialize my text view, I'm going to create a new string array here, string, a pair of brackets, okay? And then I'm going to give it a name. So let's name it facts, or let's name it my facts. And then put an assignment operator. So now I'm going to refer to the fact class. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and enter the letter F, the capital F, fact dot get facts, semicolon. So the get facts will return an array of facts or an array of string values. So if you go back to the fact class, the get facts method returns an array of string values. You're going to learn more about arrays and objects and returning or functions later in the course. But for now, just know that the get facts returns a bunch of facts, an array of facts, and it will be stored inside the my facts here. So now my facts has all of the facts that we added to the fact class, okay? So how can I add the facts to my text view? How can this text view here, let me show you the emulator, how can this text view show all of those facts? Is that possible? Yes, this is possible. So here, in order to do that, we are going to create a for loop. A for loop is a way to iterate over a bunch of values, iterate over the values of an array. And in this way, we will save ourselves a lot of time and energy because it's an automation tool for us. It's amazing. You're gonna take advantage of for loops later in the course a lot. So just enter the keyword for, and here we should do something else after the keyword for. So just put a pair of parentheses after the for, and now we need to enter the type because we are going to create a variable here inside the parentheses, string, and we need to give this variable a name. So let's name it fact, and then we put a colon here. This colon indicates that we want to iterate over our values in an array. Okay, so I want to iterate over the values that I have inside this my facts one by one. So I'm gonna put my facts after the colon. So this basically means that here, this fact here will be assigned each value of the array that we have here, this my facts, and we can do something with that specific value in each iteration of this for loop, in each execution of the for loop. You're gonna learn more about for loops later in the course. So for now, just create this for loop, string fact colon my facts. Inside the curly braces of this for loop, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna refer to this fact text view, and I'm gonna say what? I'm gonna say dot append. So this append will, as its name suggests, will append a text to this text view. So let's use it, and then it will completely make sense. So you simply say fact text view dot append, and then inside the parentheses of this append, I'm gonna refer to this fact here. So this fact text view, this fact text actually will be appended to this text view, and in each iteration of this for loop, for each value of that we have inside this my facts, these facts will be appended to each other. So in order to make it visually appealing to the user, inside the parentheses after I put the fact, so here I'm referring to this fact here, right? I'm gonna put a plus here. The plus means that I'm gonna concatenate this value with another value. And I'm gonna put two double quotes here. Inside the double quotes, I'm gonna create a new line character, \n. The \n means that it should create a new line after each fact is shown. So we have a fact, and below it we have a new line. So it's more visually appealing to the eyes of the user. If you want to, you can create two new lines, another \n. You can create 10 or 20 new lines if you want. So 2 is enough for this app. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the program and see the result. So here, let's see what's next. So you can see that the facts are shown here, and here it is the first fact, the second fact, another 2 new lines, the third fact and 2 new lines, and so on. So you can see that the facts are attached to the edges of the screen. So we can make it a little bit more visually appealing if you go to the activity under alignment.xml, and you can add an attribute to this frame layout, which is called padding. Okay, but I personally prefer to add the attribute to the text view. So let's see what is the padding. So just type in here padding inside the text view here. A padding is a distance, a space, and it's an inner space, or a space within the boundaries of our text view. So I'm going to enter 16 dp as the value of this padding. You can see that now this hello world has some inner space inside its layout. A top space, a left space, a bottom. The right space is not shown because this text view is match parent. It is taking the entire width of the screen. So let's run the program, and now it should look more better. Let's see how it looks. So now we can see that it's more user-friendly, and we can understand what's going on here. But you can see that what if I have more than let's say 20 facts and the device could not show those facts? So in that case, we need to have a scroll view. But first, let's add some more facts to the fact class so that we can see that there is no space, there is no way to scroll. So I'm gonna just select some of these facts here. I'm gonna select the whole facts here, copy it. I'm gonna put a comma here, and I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, so now let's run the program, and let's see the results on the screen. Okay, so here you can see there are a lot of facts here, but we cannot see them. It's in below them. It's in below this last fact, and I cannot scroll. I have to find a way to scroll. So let's go back to the activity under alignment.xml, and here, before this text view, I am still inside the frame layout. I'm gonna create a new tag, and I'm gonna just enter scroll view. The scroll view must have 2 attributes, the layout width and the layout height. So I'm gonna set the layout width to be match parent and the layout height to be wrap content, so that its height is actually large as the content inside of it. So I'm gonna create a separate tag, and I'm gonna put this separate tag here. I'm gonna just cut it and put it after the text view. So now this scroll view wraps this text view. Okay, this scroll view is now inside of this scroll view. This text view is now inside of this scroll view. So now I'm gonna run the program, and I'm gonna take a look at this emulator now. So let's wait until this application gets built and gets displayed on the screen. So now we should be able to actually scroll and see the other facts here. So this is how this works. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about responsive design. So let me go back to the design layout, and here responsive design simply means that you should have a layout that is dynamic, and it can be displayed, it can adjust itself so it looks good on multiple devices, whether it is a TV, whether it is a tablet, a mobile, a 4-inch screen, and stuff like that. Okay, this is called responsive design, and that's why we should use layouts such as constraint layout or linear layout to create dynamic layouts in Android. So congratulations, you have created your own facts application. In the next tutorial, we are going to dive deeper into the Android development and Android SDK, and you're going to learn a lot about Android and Java. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.